Josh, what's going on, buddy?
Hey Chase, how you doing?
Doing well, thanks, man. How are you?
I'm doing well today. Happy it's Friday.
Happy Friday, man. Well, dude, I'm pumped to have you here. I know we were just talking before this about two cool things we're gonna be going through today. Really appreciate you being, an open book and willing to share with everyone. Do you mind kicking off with like a really quick, intro on yourself, and then we'll dive in?
Yeah. So former accountant, and then after 10 years of public accounting, hated it, ended up going into marketing. Happened to work at a really great place that allowed me to switch from controller to being a marketer. And then in the beginning, worked with some really great agencies. Learned a lot about email and Facebook and all those wonderful things. And now 5 years later, just continuing to do it and love what I do.
Sweet, man. I actually didn't know that you were an accountant. Every time we chatted, I would have had no idea the way that you speak and the way that you carry yourself. So I basically am saying you're a fun accountant.
I am a fun accountant. That's something you don't hear often.
Cool. And I remember actually our first conversation, then we'll dive in, is you actually messaged me saying, wow, I've never met anyone that loves email as much as I do. So I'm pumped that we're chatting about this. Do you want to
Absolutely.
start with kind of talking through at a high level, like the first tactic and maybe kind of sharing the screenshot of it?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things we came across, I would say about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, is we noticed that everyone in today's world is using either a Klarna, an AfterPay, a Sezzle, Split It. I know Shopify is coming out with their own version of it. And we wanted a way to message it inside of email saying, hey, not only do you have an abandoned cart of, let's say, $100, but maybe instead of pushing a discount, free shipping, maybe we message that you could split your payments out over four, it would make a difference in that conversion. So, we reached out to Klaviyo. We were trying to, figure out if there was a way to do it. And we were, just running into a lot of friction. So then internally, we just all huddled and said, there has to be a way to do it. There has to be an intelligent way to do this. And, after a bit of time and energy, we were able to do it. So now what we're able to do is, as people are again abandoning cart, one of our first messages out are, hey, pay with installments over time. So I'm going to share what that looks like. So if you can see my screen here, it just says paying four installments. This one happens to be $34. And then, clearly it says shop now and pay over time with installments by AfterPay. And obviously a lot of this can be switched out interchangeably, whether it's, changing fonts, things of that nature, or the graphics. So that makes it a lot of fun. And it's a pretty simple basic code to just put into the Privy in a text block. I'm sorry,
Awesome.
Klaviyo in a text block.
Awesome. And I know obviously we have a screen grab here because you want to protect your client's privacy, but above this essentially would be like the dynamic product block, some kind of call to action. This typically lives at the bottom of the email. Is that correct?
So generally, you can put it anywhere, and we tend to put it right underneath the product block, and say, hey, here are all your items that you were going to purchase, but here is the ability to pay over four installments with AfterPay.
Awesome. And do you have like any data that you can share around like the lift in conversion when you do it this route versus not having this? Do you have any data you can share on
I
that?
do. So what we saw was an 18% lift in conversion rate in that ability. And then another thing that we started testing was adding it into the subject line. So what we started doing is say, hey Chase, pay over four times, and put that amount in there dynamically. But we didn't see such a tremendous lift in that open rate there. Wasn't It was so small that it didn't make a difference. But where we saw the difference was inside the actual email.
Makes sense. And it sounded like you were going to be really kind and actually give people like the code or the snippet to do this themselves. So if that's the case, I'll connect with you after this and we'll get that uploaded into the show notes of this video. And thank you for that, by the way. I mentioned it's really kind to see other people, doing this type of stuff for free.
Yeah, no, you give out so much value. As you said, when I saw it, I said, "Wow, look at this! There's an actual other person in the world that loves email." And you went out there and did a great job. There were some things that you've even put out, and I said, "Wow, that's a really smart way of thinking of things." It's nice to hear other people's thoughts in the industry to see what they're doing.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So the use case you just gave us was for the abandoned cart. Have you been using that like in campaigns or any other flows, or kind of primarily just the abandoned cart, abandoned checkouts?
So using it in abandoned checkouts, abandoned, and then, browse abandonment,
Okay.
we're using it in definitely in other areas, and everywhere we have A/B tested it, we have seen a lift to a point that's not even an A/B test anymore for us. It's just always in there.
Awesome. Awesome. On this first tactic, anything else that you think is worth sharing? Obviously, you're going to provide the code and all that, which will make people's lives, mine included, really easy. Anything else you want to talk about on this one before we move to kind of the second tactic you wanted to share?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is obviously just make sure that you continually to make sure that the code didn't break for whatever reason, nothing changed inside Klaviyo, all those, basic tactics that everyone should always do. Just make sure everything is working properly.
Sweet, man. Appreciate that. All right, the floor is yours then for second of two tactics for the day.
So the other tactic includes using Privy. Privy is one of my favorite pop-up platforms to work with. And one of the tactics that we use is the ability from, based upon how much items someone has in their cart. So as an example, if someone has $200 in their cart, maybe you're willing to offer them a bigger discount to get them to push through as maybe someone that has $50. So with Privy, you could target based upon that. So as if they're leaving to exit the site, generally we'll throw them a pop-up saying, hey, before you leave, here's 25% off that you can receive. We always do it where they have to receive it in their email. Why? Guarantees good open rate in there. So good trick for deliverability across the account to help. And then we push them into a flow saying that, hey, here's your code. It's active for the next 2 hours. And what we do is we make that code look dynamic. Generally, we make it just a normal static code. And then from there, we take that email. If they didn't open, we send them an email 4 hours later saying, and we do generally a plain text email just saying, hey, we reactivated your code. Maybe life got busy, life got in the way. Why don't you come through and still purchase? And generally, that second email is the winner. First email obviously does well if people are looking to buy right away, but we've seen tremendous sales from that second email. And then, 2 days later, we just say, hey, last chance to purchase, don't miss out kind of email. And, those emails generally do very well for us. Tremendous conversion rate to a point where if they're in that flow, we kick them out of the abandoned cart flow because that flow generally does better over abandoned cart.
Dude, that's awesome. And this is actually really cool. I interviewed last week the founder and the CEO of Privy, and his interview is going to drop, in a week, and then yours will drop right after his. So it'll be really cool to have him talk about some of these things and kind of you to talk about it as well in some different ways. So no, that's awesome. So that's another thing that you've tested so many different times. It's just a part of your stack. This is what we do. We're going to do it, 10 out of 10 times because it works.
Correct.
Sweet. Well, dude, I mean, I love it. This was super actionable, short and sweet, so people are going to consume all of it. Is there any other things that you want to talk about or add, or if not, where can people kind of ask you questions about these or just connect with you?
Open to talk about many things. I think you cover a lot of items, so I don't want to give too much duplicate information. So, they can find me on Twitter. It's jbehr919. If they want to reach out, ask any questions, more than happy to help anybody. And been there, done it for free always.
Sweet, man. And I'll drop your handle under this video for anyone that wants to connect with him. Well, dude, thank you so much as always for the time, and appreciate the knowledge. I'm definitely going to send this video before it even goes live to my team to start doing these things. So appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Chase.
All right, buddy. Cheers.